Hello students, this is Mrs. Miller, and the purpose of this video is to show you the way that I responded to our 3 constructed response questions over our article entitled Let the Games Begin from our Time for Kids magazine. Now, before I go over the answers, I want to review something with you. The types of questions that we're seeing are not right there questions. They're not the kind of questions where we can just go to the article and find the exact answer. Instead, we have something called think and search questions and author and me questions. Let me explain. When we have think and search questions, the information is in the article, but it is located in several different parts. So just like a puzzle, you have to find the parts and put the pieces together to form your answer. I noticed that some of you are looking in the magazine or looking in the article for an exact answer, and you're spending quite a bit of time doing that. The answer is not directly stated in the text. You have to put the pieces together to form your answer, okay? This is our little icon to help us remember that it's like a puzzle piece and you have to look at the different parts to come up with your answer. Some sentence starters for think and search questions are: for what reason did something happen? What caused something to happen? Tell me in your own words. What happened first, second, third, etc.? Explain something. Whenever I'm asking you, or the I-STEP folks are asking you to explain something, you're going to have to look in different parts for the answer and then put your answer together. Find 2 examples of something. Well, that number 2 tells me that I'm going to have to look in different parts for the answer. Compare and contrast, summarize. These are just a few of the tasks that you would have to do if it's telling you to think and search, okay? The next type of question is an author and me question. And when we have an author and me question, you come up with the answer on your own. There's nothing in the passage stated about what the question is asking you, but you would be able to find details in the text to support your answer. So what happened? So you look at what happened in the passage, and then you transfer the information to what could happen, what would have to happen in the future based on what you read in the passage. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a shot. My article, for reference purposes, I have the article pulled up right here. And here is my question number 1. It says, one of the main ideas of this passage is, I'm sorry, there was a little typo there. It takes a lot of hard work to organize and run the Olympics. Explain why this is one of the main ideas. Well, if I go back to my sentence starters, it's telling me to explain something. So right away, I know this is a think and search question. The answer is in the text, but I have to look in several different places and come up with my answer. I should say the evidence is going to be in several different places, okay? So this is how I responded to that question. I said, it takes a lot of hard work to organize and run the Olympics is a main idea. The reason I use quotation marks is because I took this word for word from my question. I'm just restating and answering my question right now, okay? Of the passage, because it took a lot of effort and time to get ready for the event. I restated and I answered my question, okay? Now I can search back through the article and I'm going to find specific things that it told me about to show that it took a lot of effort and time. So when I look right here, I see that they spent over $50 billion to build new roads and buildings. And then I need to have another piece of evidence, so I'm going to jump over here. And I see they had to stockpile a lot of snow. That's another piece of evidence that I could use if I wanted to. So they had to work hard to stockpile the snow. And here's another piece of evidence that it took over 5 years for them to build everything that needed to be built. So there's 3 pieces of evidence that I just did a search and find. And I knew right where to look because I had already read the article. So I only need 2 pieces of evidence. So I'm going to use the one about the roads being built. Okay, the text shows that new roads and buildings had to be built for the Olympics. That takes a lot of hard work, right? So that supports that this is a main idea. I'm going to also use the information about the venues. The text also shows that construction of the Olympic venues began 5 years ago. These details show that a lot of hard work went into organizing the Olympics. And there I have it. Okay, I'm going to reread my answer. It takes a lot of hard work to organize and run the Olympics as a main idea of the passage because it took a lot of effort and time to get ready for the event. I restated and answered my question. The text shows that new roads and buildings had to be built for the Olympics. The text also shows that construction of the Olympic venues began 5 years ago. Now, something else I want to point out, my friends, it didn't say this word for word. I found this detail and I put it into my own words. That's why I said the text shows. This is what the text showed me. These details show that a lot of hard work went into organizing the Olympics. So this was a good response to our first think and search question. Okay? Let's take a look at question number 2. It says, Lolo Jones will be competing in the Winter Olympics for the first time. Why will she participate in it, and what does she hope to gain? Support your answer with details from the article. My friends, many of you are answering only one part of the question. You're answering only this first part. But this word "and" here signals that there is a second part to the question that you have to respond to. Okay? Now, going back to the article, there's only one small part where it talked about Lolo Jones. It says, track star Lolo Jones, who failed to medal in the hurdles at the Summer Olympics, will head to Sochi as a member of the bobsled team. Bobsled gave me hope. Bobsled pushed me to never give up on my dreams, she posted on Facebook. Now, that's all it says about Lolo Jones. So based on that little excerpt, or that little bit there, we need to formulate our response, okay? So I'm going to restate and answer the question first. The first question, it says, Lolo Jones will participate in the Winter Olympics. Sorry about that. Will participate in the Winter Olympics so that she has another chance to win an Olympic medal. Now, how do I know that? Well, I'm going to put my detail from the text to support it. It says, according to the text, she didn't win a medal in the Summer Olympics, and it is her dream to do so. Do you see how I put that in my own words? I put it in my own words, but I still got this information from the text. You are allowed to do that. You can put it in your own words. Just make sure that your information is correct, okay? I'm not finished with my response because there's a second question. All right, it says, what does she hope to gain? I'm going to restate and answer that question. Lolo hopes to gain the pride she would feel at accomplishing her goal of winning a medal. All right, now let's go back to the text and get some evidence. The text states that Lolo said, now I'm going to do a direct quote, word for word, so I'm going to put it in quotation marks. Bobsled gave me hope and pushed me to never give up on my dreams. So there's my evidence to support that she hopes to gain the prize she would feel at accomplishing her goal. And I'm going to put my concluding sentence. I now know why Lolo Jones will be an Olympian again and what she hopes to gain. Okay, I'm going to read through my response and make sure that I answered both parts of the question. Lolo Jones will participate in the Winter Olympics so that she has another chance to win an Olympic medal. According to the text, she didn't win a medal in the Summer Olympics, and it is her dream to do so. Lola hopes to gain the pride she would feel at accomplishing her goal of winning a medal. The text states that Lola said bobsled gave me hope and pushed me to never give up on my dreams. I now know why Lola Jones will be an Olympian again and what she hopes to gain. So this is my response to question number 2. Let's take a look at question number 3. Question 3 says, based on the information in the article, what would have to happen if the Winter Olympics were held in the United States in 2021? Use details from this text to support your answer. But when I go back to the text, there is nothing at all about the Olympics being held in the United States or in the year 2021. My friends, this is because this is a type of question called, this is an author and me question. So what happens with a question like this is you come up with your own answer, but you can still use details from the passage to support your answer. So you take the information from the passage and you transfer it over to what your response is. Okay? One of the things I noticed is in Sochi they had to build new roads and buildings before the Olympics were held. So I just transfer that information over here and I talk about the United States having to build new roads and buildings if the Olympics were held here in the future. Remember, my answer must be based on what I read in the text. Sochi had to stockpile snow in case there wasn't enough snowfall. The United States would have to do the same thing. There's a lot of snow this year, but I tell you, there's been years past where there wasn't a lot of snow, so we would have to do that as well. Let's go to the response. This is my response. It says, the United States would have to work hard to prepare for the games if they were held here in 2021, just like they did in Sochi. I restated and answered my question, and I tied this information into the article that I read. Now let me give you details to support. According to the passage, Sochi had to work for 5 years to build roads and buildings for the Olympics. The text also states that they had to stockpile snow in case there wasn't enough snowfall. So now I have my support from the passage to show what they did, and that means that's what we would have to do in the United States. Therefore, the United States would have to do the same thing before hosting the games. Okay? Now, everything I said the United States had to do were things that they had to do in Sochi. I noticed in some of you all's responses that you were putting other things that didn't relate to the article or the text at all, okay? Remember, this is an author and me question, so you're going back to what the author said and tying that in with your response here.